Hey, Miles here at Tactical Hyve, joined by Rob Hyve from CCW Safe, who you've probably seen in our previous videos. And today we're going to talk about this often debated topic when it comes to the legalities of shooting and if you're going to get in trouble. And that is, if you carry a firearm, is modifying your firearm going to get you in trouble? For example, changing the trigger, maybe from a 6-pound trigger to a 2-pound trigger, whatever it is. So Rob's going to give his insight. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Welcome back. If you haven't tuned into our previous episodes or videos with Rob works with CCW Safe. He's a use of force expert and he's a retired law enforcement agent. And he is here to provide insight as to what happens on the second fight, meaning the legal fight, legal ramifications. And so we wanted to talk about what I just mentioned in the intro, modifications. So Rob, if I change that trigger on my pistol or change the sights, is that a good thing, bad thing?
It's a loaded question. It depends. There are so many little options and accessories that I can do with my gun. I like to speak from personal knowledge. We had an officer that had a dust cover on an AR that, as it's opened, it basically says, "You're effed." And he was involved in a shooting. That's something that gets looked at really hard, like, dude, you've just been looking for a place for this to happen. Obviously you
wanted it to happen.
Yes. So anytime, especially if they're filing charges, they're going to take any kind of little thing and they're going to kind of twist it to try to influence a jury with. It's one of those, you were talking about going from a 6-pound to a 2-pound. We've seen those brought up. That, oh my gosh, he made it a hair trigger and this is the reason. It's really important for your viewers to understand there's a difference between building a race gun for competition and a carry gun. I want to keep that as close to duty action as I possibly can. I don't mind if you go in and polish a trigger and do some things like that make it smoother, but I don't want to make it lighter. I want to keep it as close to factory specs as I can. We're talking about that hair trigger. But I've also seen the exact same thing used when somebody's put in like a New York trigger. So suddenly you got this big stiff 12-pound trigger and somehow that gets twisted. And so it's just anything,
any change
that we can do to say you've modified and done these things. And are you in armor? You're not even in armor. How do you? So they're just things that are going to be used against you if they get a chance.
So correct me if I'm wrong here. It sounds like it is, by default, is always best to be as close as possible to your stock firearm. If you make changes, just understand you might not be in trouble if anything ever happens. God forbid you have to be in a shooting, but the more changes that you have in your firearm or on your firearm, that can definitely go against you. Legally. So I guess that's pretty much the answer, that we're kind of like the overall.
It's the gist of it, at least. It's not one that's an absolute, but if they're filing charges, they're going to do anything they can to kind of tweak it to their favor.
It's again that piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, it's the playbook that they're going to go by. It's just, they want to do the very best they can to win the case. And it's one of the things that I'm concerned with in different jurisdictions, to where it's not always about finding the truth and what's right. It's about a win or a loss. And, in law enforcement, it shouldn't be anything more about winning a case. It should be about finding what the truth is and let's resolve it, whether it's a criminal action or not. I should never get my feelings hurt or get mixed up in something emotionally to where it's just about winning. That should never be the case. I've said since the day I started the academy, I don't care if a guilty person got away, as long as I never did something on my actions that caused an innocent person to be convicted. I couldn't live with myself. It's just, morally, that's just against everything I've ever known. I've known guys that I worked with that were like, "You saw that happen, didn't you?" And it was like, "No." Come on, dude. You just say you saw it. And it's like, no, I'm never going to compromise my own personal integrity to arrest somebody. If that's a real bad guy, he's going to give me another chance. So that's kind of that thing. I don't want to do anything that spins things up, but we already know that happens. I mean, we've seen that in cases across the country. So it's something that I just never want to give anybody any ammunition and give them that opportunity to use something against me.
Yes.
So I really try to reiterate that with the guys that we work with.
In line with that, I carry stock. All my carry guns are stock, everything. Maybe just the sights, because my vision. So I might change that a little bit, but everything internally, it's the same. And I always get the question. People are always asking, why don't you change it? Why don't you change it? Why don't you change it? Two things, that I always tell them is, one, I feel confident with the way it is. Like I shoot well, and that's a matter of training. So for those of you watching this and thinking, again, the gear is going to make you better miraculously, no, it's the training part, right? So I feel very good with that, just the stock guns. And secondly, it's kind of like you were saying, like it's, even if I don't get in trouble, I just don't want to take a chance. No chance at all.
Yes.
Right. So I mean, it don't really have to worry about it. So if you don't, and if you train a lot, then you don't need that hair trigger.
I thought it was so cool, and he did an article on it. Our content manager, Justin Collette, he can run a gun. He's impressive, and he's got some really nice race guns. He's got some stuff that's really tweaked up just to go. And he did side-by-side comparisons, running things for time and accuracy. And it was amazing how minuscule the difference was. So when you got somebody that's developed the skill set, it doesn't matter what you put in their hands.
Yeah.
You got a guitar player that plays, some off-the-shelf thing that's $199, and he makes it sound amazing. He's still going to sound amazing on that $2,000 guitar, but I can take a brand new guitar player and I can put a $2,000 guitar in his hand. It still sounds like a brand new guitar player. So, you're never going to buy a better
training and practice.
Yeah, you're never going to buy a better score. You're just not. I don't care how much money you spend. So, most of my guns are under $1,000 and always will be. I'm a working guy. That's what I've always done.
And for our viewers, you may see me shooting race guns, things like that. It's because I compete competitively.
Yes.
And if you do compete, you need that. You need
an edge.
Yeah, you need that edge.
It's just a fraction.
Yeah, it's just a fraction. And everyone else is using that too. So you kind of need that. It's kind of like everyone's using F1 Racer, but if you're driving a regular car, it's going to be to your disadvantage. But no, I really appreciate that. So for those of you who've been wondering, should you modify your gun? Is that going to get you in trouble? Hopefully this, the discussion here gave you some insights, some pointers that you can take with. And, if you talk to other people who are gun owners, you can say that this is not just hearsay. You've heard it from a use of force expert, from CCW Safe. So this is the real deal here. So you don't want to stack the odds against you. You want to stack the odds for you. And by just carrying a stock gun, you're not going to be in danger of like worrying about like, I modified this and now you have a puzzle piece against you.
Well, and as gear changes, I never heard of a case where this was used, but when dots started coming into practice, it was one of those things that I kept waiting to hear a prosecutor going over the fact that this made it where this happens. No, it's not. That's a bunch of bull crap. I made it so I'll be more accurate and more safe. We can always articulate the right response for that.
Yeah.
But I don't ever want to do something to just bring something into question, just because like we talked about, they're going to twist it to whatever means they have to use against you. So.
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense. Well, Rob, thank you again so much. I really appreciate it. Viewers, if you like this type of content, make sure you let us know in the comments below. And, we want to address what questions you have now regarding the next fight, the second fight, not just necessarily when you're in the thick of it, but legally. So leave your questions below. We'll have Rob again in the future. So those are topics we can cover. If you like the video, please make sure to give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. See you guys in the next video.
Thanks, guys.